Welcome to the Functional Enough podcast, the podcast where if you're just doing the bare minimum to get by, you are doing just fine. You're exactly where you should be. My name is Grace. I have bipolar disorder type 1 and complex PTSD, and I answer some questions that people have or that I might have relating to these disorders and what it's like to live with them. Today, it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted. We've had some heavier episodes in the past, so I figured we'd talk about some more uplifting things today. So, question that I got was, what are your favorite coping tools or skills that you kind of utilize, whether you're in a depressive state or maybe a manic state, to kind of ground yourself? Now, when it comes to grounding myself, that's where I get more into like breathing exercises and grounding techniques. So something that I learned, I had to talk to like a child advocacy like social worker when I was going through like my essay, like court, all that stuff that I had to go through with that. And she taught me the like trick of like looking around a room and pointing everything out that's like a different color, or just like little things like that, or like what the alphabet game, like what can you find in the room that starts with A with B. So doing that, and it kind of tricks your brain. Another cool one that my sister actually taught me when I'm feeling really anxious is eating a sour candy. The sour taste will actually kind of like distract your nervous system from what it was just feeling or thinking about, and it's can only focus now on that like sour sensation. So shout out to my sister Caroline for telling me that trick. But today we're going to talk about some of my favorite coping skills and what I personally do when I feel dysregulated. Watching a comfort movie. This is a big one for me. I have a couple of them, but I feel like the one that always comes to mind is Crossroads. And I know like part of it's are like sad and stuff, but like that movie is like super nostalgic for me. I used to watch that with like my siblings, and I just love me a good Britney Spears movie. But it's like not that great of a movie, but it's a comfort movie for me. And snuggling up with my favorite blanket. So like this blanket I have back here, my mom has had this for like ever. Like I'm sure there's pictures from almost 20 years ago of us like with that blanket, and it's got like holes in it now, but it's my comfort blanket. It's my blanket for my mommy, so I like to keep it, and when I'm not feeling good I snuggle up with it. My comfort food, any kind of soup. I am a soup fanatic. I will eat soup in the dead of summer when it is sweltering hot outside. I don't care. It is never a bad time for soup, in my opinion, and it just makes me feel a little bit better. The books I like to read. I recently read A Book of Life by Peter Kingsley. He's a philosopher, and he kind of gives an interesting perspective on like the human experience and how the universe lives inside of all of us, and it's a very interesting book. But when it comes to a book I would recommend if you are bipolar, I mentioned this in a previous video, but it's a book called Marbles. It's by Ellen Forney, I believe, is her name, and it's a graphic novel, so it's like really easy to get through, but it basically outlines her journey of getting diagnosed with bipolar disorder. There is some like sexual content in it, so just be advised of that, but very good book. And that made me feel a lot less like alone when I first got diagnosed. So I shout out to my therapist for giving that book to me. And then I also have podcasts that I listen to. So there's one podcast that I've been listening to since like 2017. That's called And That's Why We Drink. It is a paranormal and true crime podcast. And I know you're probably thinking like, why would you watch or listen to a podcast that's about like scary things if you're feeling like paranoid or if you're feeling like overwhelmed? It's just comforting to me. Like their voices comfort me because I've been listening to them for so long, and I find those things interesting. So that's just personally what I like. But find your own podcast that maybe interest you. Hopefully it's mine. But no, like there are so many amazing podcasts out there. There's different audiobooks out there. If you're not somebody who like can sit down and read, find your own comfort movie, your own things that it's like, hey, if I'm feeling like I need to be comforted, what's going to help me right now? And have those as like tools in your tool belt. Next, we're going to talk about music, movies, and your mood. So these things can influence your mood a lot. So like, be careful of like the kind of things that you do consume, whether that's on TikTok, whether that's on Instagram, whether that's what you're actually watching on TV. You know, the things that you put into your ear holes and your eye sockets can actually influence your mood. So just kind of be aware of that and what it might do. So like, my girlfriend always makes this joke, like she should have known something was up when we first started dating. I told her my favorite movie is Girl Interrupted, and it is. Like, that's one of my comfort movies. I love that movie. And yeah, it's like a heavier themed, and it's got like some, you know, darker content to it. But it's a comfort movie for me because it's like all these girls, like amazing cast, by the way. If you don't know Girl Interrupted, you know, you got Angelina Jolie, you got Winona Ryder, you got Emily, not Emily, shoot, why am I blanking on her name right now? Brittany Murphy, that's who it is, Brittany Murphy, you got Whoopi Goldberg. It's a cast, man. I highly recommend it if you've never seen it, but it's about, you know, a girl that goes into a psychiatric facilities in like the 70s, I believe, is like when it's supposed to be taking place, and she has borderline personality disorder, and it's basically just like their life inside of this woman's ward, and it's very good. Anyways, I digress. But that was my favorite movie, and my girlfriend was like, that's your comfort movie? And it's like, yeah. So it's like, just gets weird and works for me. Like, you might have your own comfort movie, and I hope that you do. But I also get that, like, certain movies might not be good for my mental health, you know, or just certain themed movies. Like, I watched the Blink Twice movie, and that messed me up. Like, that messed me up on a level that, like, I tried to watch it again, and, like, I couldn't get through it, and my girlfriend was like, no, you're never watching that again. It triggered a lot of things for me. I was not quite ready for it. So if you've not watched that movie yet, just be warned. It is very graphic, and it is some terrifying and disgusting stuff that they talk about in there. I think it's important to talk about, and I think they were trying to make a statement, but for me personally, it was not healthy for me to consume. And in terms of like music, I am somebody that's like, oh, I like everything. Like, everyone always says that, but it's like, no, there's always a genre that you put on when you're alone in your car, no one else is in there, and that's what you like to listen to. So it's like, I say I like to listen to everything, but it's like, no, it really just depends on my mood. But overall, the main thing I listen to is EDM, which is funny because I used to work in an EDM nightclub, and I hated it at first because I thought it all sounded the same. And boy, was I wrong. And I got to see different artists come through, and I got to be like, oh wow, like, all EDM isn't the same. Like, it's not all just like noise. And now going to festivals is something that, like, my girlfriend and I really like to do. I love them. It's like one of the places where I feel most at home and like most accepted is in a group of people that go to festivals, because if you've never been, it's like the nicest community you could ever possibly imagine. Like, the first time my girlfriend went to a festival with me, she was like thrown off by how nice everybody was, because she just like wasn't used to that being the case. So anyways, I digress again. But EDM is something that I will play a lot of. I also do like a good like 90s, early 2000s country because it's nostalgic, because that's what I grew up listening to. I do like some rap. But yeah, or like sometimes I like just listening to like lo-fi playlists and just like calming music, and that just be like what's playing through my head as I go about my day. But music has always been a very, very important thing for me. My first tattoo ever was a John Lennon quote, and I've just always been somebody who felt like I needed music in order to like survive, essentially. But again, the kind of music that I put into my head is also going to influence my mood. So like, if I need a good cry, I know which Taylor Swift album I'm putting on. Like, if I want to be pumped up, I know like what EDM playlist I'm gonna play. If I want to be like in my feels, like, you know, it just depends. Like, I know for me what works, but it's about what finding what works for you and coping skills that you can develop. And hopefully they're ones that are healthy, and you stay away from ones that are not healthy, you know, like, I am not proud of this, but like, I used to have to drink a bottle of, not a whole bottle, but at least 2 to 3 glasses of wine every night just to fall asleep, because this was before I was diagnosed, before I was medicated, and I needed to shut myself down enough because I was like so wired and so stressed out that I was like, well, this is the only way that I can quiet myself down enough to go to sleep. And no, Grace, that's not right. That is how you develop alcoholism. And yeah, so it was kind of just like that's not a healthy way to cope. Or, spiraling about things that are unhealthy for me to spiral about. Now, there's healthy spirals. I call them healthy spirals. I don't think spiraling in general is like the right word. I always use it, but it just has such like a bad connotation to it. But like, if you have the time or you can't sleep and all the ways that you're trying to sleep aren't working, then yeah, like research something you're interested in. Read the Epstein files, learn about something new, whatever it might be. My video is probably going to get flagged now just for talking about the E-files. But it is also very hard as someone with bipolar and, PTSD and all these, hypervigilance and intense emotions, like to know what's going on in the world right now. Like, it's very terrifying. Like, I'm having trouble, like, even wanting to leave my house because I'm just like, shit is not going well out there. I don't want to be out there. So, a little bit of a shorter episode this time. I invite you guys to share your favorite coping skills. So maybe your favorite podcast, what your comfort movies are, what's your favorite comfort snack? Like, what do you like to go to? Maybe I should answer. What's my favorite comfort snack? I love chocolate. Like, I'm just kind of like, I have a sweet tooth, but it's weird because I really only eat chocolate when it's inappropriate to eat chocolate, like at 3 o'clock in the morning in my bed. But I'm a big sweet tooth person. And then, yeah, I don't know. I am a snacker, but now, of course, because I'm on camera, I'm drawing a blank to every snack that ever existed. But anyways, find like, a little arsenal for yourself to have all your coping skills in. Maybe have a little box that's got your favorite snacks in it for the day that you need it. Whatever works for you. Whether you live with these disorders or you're just someone that struggles with your mental health, it is always best to try to get ahead of it. So while you are feeling okay and having the motivation to put together these lists of like, okay, like, what can I do to cope? What do I want? What music does uplift my mood? What movies do make me feel better and maybe more comforted? What are my favorite comfort snacks? Do I have a comfort blanket? Do I have a comfort stuffed animal? It's okay if you do. No one's going to judge you. No one has to know either. But it's just about taking care of yourself the best way that you know how. So that's it. That's all I have for this time. I figured I'd do a little bit more light episode and maybe a little more tangents on this one, just because we had the time and we've talked about some heavier topics in the last couple episodes. So again, you can find me on YouTube where you can actually see my face as I talk. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcast. I have a Discord channel where I would hope that we can all get together and chat and just be supportive of one another. I also have a Patreon page. I'm still working on getting all the links to everything. I have one link that will take you to a page that then you can go to all my social media accounts. I do have it linked in my description of my entire page, but whether or not it's clickable, who knows? YouTube has a hard time telling me what it's going to do. So if you can't find any of those things, let me know. I will be happy to link them in the comments. But please click all the buttons, support the podcast if you like it. It really does go a long way, and it really means a lot to me. So if you are watching, I will see you guys next time. If you're listening, then I hope you listen in again next week.